The night my mate sentenced me to death, the entire pack watched. No one stepped forward. Not a single voice defended me. The wind howled through Ironfang territory that night, cold and sharp like broken glass. Hundreds of wolves stood in the clearing beneath the ancient oak tree, the place where alphas pass judgment, and I stood at the center, alone. My wrists were bound with silver chains that burned against my skin. Across from me stood the man who once swore he would protect me for the rest of my life, Alpha Kael, my mate. His broad shoulders were rigid beneath the black alpha cloak, his expression carved from stone. The torchlight flickered across his sharp jawline, casting long shadows across his face. But his eyes held nothing for me. No warmth, no hesitation, no love. The pack watched in complete silence as the accusations were read aloud. Lyra Vale, the beta announced, his voice carrying through the clearing. You stand accused of conspiring with rogue wolves and betraying the Ironfang Pack. A murmur rippled through the crowd. Betrayal. The worst crime any wolf could commit. My heart pounded violently against my ribs. I didn't betray anyone, I said, my voice trembling, despite my effort to stay calm. No one answered. I searched the crowd desperately. Faces I had known since childhood stared back at me. Some looked uncomfortable, others looked curious, but most looked relieved. Relieved that the scandal surrounding their future Luna was finally being dealt with. My gaze returned to Kael, my mate. The bond between us still pulsed faintly in my chest, like a dying ember struggling to stay alive. Kael, I whispered. For a moment, just a moment, I thought I saw something flicker across his expression. Doubt. But it vanished almost instantly. You were seen meeting with rogues beyond the northern border, he said, coldly. I went there to investigate them, I replied quickly. They were hunting near our territory. I was protecting the pack. The beta scoffed. And yet 3 of those rogues escaped after your meeting. Because they ambushed me, I snapped. The silver chains rattled as I moved. I barely survived. A few wolves shifted uneasily, but Kael remained unmoved. The evidence speaks for itself, he said. My stomach dropped. Evidence. I already knew what that meant. Someone had set me up. Please, I said, my voice breaking now. You know me. You know I would never betray this pack. Silence stretched across the clearing. The moon hung high above us, bright and merciless. Kael stepped forward. The air shifted instantly. Every wolf lowered their head slightly as their alpha moved. Even now, even in chains, my wolf stirred inside me at his presence. Mate. The word echoed faintly in my mind, but the warmth that once accompanied it was gone. Lyra Vale, Kael said slowly, his voice carrying the unmistakable authority of an alpha command. Your actions have placed this pack in danger. My chest tightened. This is a mistake, I whispered. He didn't respond. Instead, he turned toward the elders standing beside the oak tree. The punishment for treason, he said, is death. Gasps spread through the crowd. My breath caught in my throat, even though I knew the law. Hearing the words still felt like a blade sliding between my ribs. But Kael wasn't finished. He looked back at me, and for the first time that night, something flickered in his eyes. Not love, not regret. Something colder. However, he continued, I will not spill the blood of my own mate. A wave of whispers moved through the wolves. Hope sparked painfully in my chest. Maybe he believed me after all. Maybe he would give me a chance to prove my innocence. Kael raised his hand. The clearing fell silent again. Lyra Vale, he said. I reject you as my mate." The words shattered through the bond like thunder. Pain exploded through my chest. It felt like something inside me had been ripped apart. A scream tore from my throat before I could stop it. The mate bond snapped. My knees buckled as agony spread through my body like wildfire. Every wolf in the clearing could feel it. Mate rejection was rare, brutal, final. Tears blurred my vision as I struggled to breathe. Kael's voice continued above me, cold and distant. "You are hereby banished from Ironfang territory." My head snapped up. Banished? You will be cast beyond the Blackwood Forest. The crowd erupted into shocked whispers. Every wolf knew what that meant. Blackwood wasn't just wilderness. It was a graveyard. No pack territory, no protection. Only monsters, rogues, and things far worse. No wolf who entered Blackwood alone had ever returned. My chest heaved as the reality settled over me. This wasn't mercy. It was a slower death. "Kael," I rasped. He didn't meet my eyes. "Escort her to the border," he ordered the guards. The chains around my wrists were yanked forward. I stumbled as 2 warriors dragged me through the clearing. No one stopped them. No one protested. Not the wolves I grew up with. Not the elders who watched me train for Luna duties. Not even my own cousin standing near the front of the crowd. I searched the faces desperately as they pulled me past, hoping, begging, but the pack had already turned their backs. By the time we reached the edge of the clearing, I stopped fighting. The forest loomed ahead of us. Blackwood. Even from a distance, the trees looked wrong, twisted, ancient. Their branches clawed toward the sky like skeletal fingers. The guards unlocked the chains. One of them shoved me forward. "If you run fast," he muttered quietly, "you might survive a day." Then they turned and walked away, just like that. No final words, no mercy. The moment they disappeared into the darkness, the forest fell silent, completely silent, the kind of silence that made your skin crawl. I stood there for a long time, staring at the border. Behind me lay the pack that had rejected me. Ahead of me lay certain death. My chest still ached from the broken mate bond. The pain pulsed through me with every heartbeat. But beneath that pain, something else stirred. A faint whisper inside my mind. My wolf, weak, injured, but still alive. "We're not dying here," I murmured hoarsely. The forest wind rustled the trees as if answering. Taking a shaky breath, I stepped forward, into Blackwood. The darkness swallowed me almost instantly. The deeper I walked, the colder the air became. Strange sounds echoed between the trees, branches snapping, low growls, something moving just beyond the shadows. My wolf whimpered. Danger. Every instinct screamed at me to run, but there was nowhere to run to. Hours passed, or maybe minutes. Time blurred as exhaustion slowly dragged at my limbs. Then suddenly, a howl split the night. Not a normal wolf howl, something deeper, older. It vibrated through the forest like a warning. My heart slammed against my ribs. Another howl answered, then another. My stomach twisted. Rogues, and not just one or two. An entire hunting pack. The brush ahead of me rustled violently. Golden eyes appeared in the darkness. 1, then 3, then 6. Shapes emerged slowly from the shadows. Massive wolves, their fur scarred, their teeth bared. Rogues. My breathing turned ragged. Even at full strength, I would never survive this. And right now, I could barely stand. The largest wolf stepped forward. His lips curled back, revealing long yellowed fangs. A low growl rumbled from his chest. The others spread out around me, surrounding me, hunting me. My wolf shrank inside me. Fear clawed through my body. This was it. This was how it ended. Banished by my mate, torn apart by rogues. A bitter laugh escaped my throat. Figures, I whispered. The lead rogue crouched low, preparing to lunge. But before he could move, the forest exploded. A deafening roar shattered the night. Not a wolf's howl, something far more powerful. The ground trembled beneath my feet. Every rogue froze instantly, their ears flattened against their heads. Fear filled their glowing eyes. Then, slowly, they backed away. Not from me, from something behind me. My heart pounded as I turned. At first, I saw nothing, only darkness between the ancient trees. Then a shape moved, huge, silent, and impossibly fast. A massive black wolf stepped out of the shadows, larger than any wolf I had ever seen. His fur was midnight dark, absorbing the moonlight around him. Silver scars crossed his powerful shoulders. But it was his eyes that made my blood run cold. They glowed an eerie, ancient blue. The rogues lowered themselves instantly, submitting, whimpering. I stared in stunned silence. This wasn't a rogue. This was something else entirely. The enormous wolf studied me carefully, his gaze sharp, calculating. Then slowly, he shifted. Bones cracked, muscles twisted. The massive wolf form collapsed inward, and a man stepped forward from the darkness, tall, broad, scarred. His long black hair hung loose around his shoulders, and his glowing blue eyes locked onto mine. For a long moment, neither of us spoke. Then he said quietly, "You shouldn't be alive." I swallowed. "Neither should you." The corner of his mouth lifted slightly. Interesting. He stepped closer. The air around him carried an ancient power that made my wolf tremble. "Tell me something," he said. His glowing eyes studied me intensely. "When the Ironfang Alpha cast you out tonight," my breath caught. "How do you know about that?" He ignored the question. Instead, his voice dropped lower, almost amused. Did he realize, the stranger continued, that he just handed Blackwood Forest a future alpha? My heart stopped. I stared at him, not understanding. And that was the moment. Everything changed. The stranger's words echoed in my head. Future alpha. The idea was so absurd I almost laughed, but something about the way he said it made my stomach twist. "You're mistaken," I said carefully. "I'm not an alpha." The man studied me in silence. His glowing blue eyes were unnerving, ancient, calculating, as if he could see straight through my bones. Behind him, the rogues remained frozen in submission. That alone told me something was very wrong. Rogues didn't bow to anyone, yet every one of them had lowered their heads to this man. "Interesting," he murmured. "You don't know." My chest tightened. "Know what?" Instead of answering, he turned slightly. "Leave," he said to the rogues. Just one word, but it carried a weight that vibrated through the air like an alpha command. The rogues scattered immediately. Within seconds, the forest was empty again. I stared at the stranger. "Who are you?" He didn't answer right away. Instead, he stepped closer. Too close. Instinctively, I backed away, but my heel caught on a root, and I stumbled. Strong hands grabbed my arms before I could fall. The moment his skin touched mine, a jolt of power shot through my body, not the familiar warmth of a mate bond, something deeper, older. My wolf stirred weakly inside me, confused. The stranger's brows furrowed slightly. "Huh? What?" I demanded. He released me slowly. "That's unexpected." "You keep saying things like that," I snapped, exhaustion and frustration bubbling over. "Maybe you should start explaining." For a moment, I thought he might refuse. Then he sighed quietly. My name is Darius. The name stirred faint recognition. Something old, something whispered in pack legends. But my foggy mind couldn't place it. And you, he continued, are Lyra Vale. My pulse spiked. How do you know my name? I know many things. That's not an answer. His lips twitched slightly. No, it isn't. My patience snapped. Look, I've had a very long night, I said. My mate rejected me, my pack threw me out, and 5 minutes ago I almost got eaten by rogues. I crossed my arms. So unless you plan on finishing the job, I'd appreciate actual answers. Darius watched me quietly. Then he laughed. Not cruelly, just amused. You're bold for someone who just walked into the most dangerous forest in the north. Trust me, I muttered. This wasn't my first choice. His gaze softened slightly. Your alpha accused you of treason. It wasn't a question. I stiffened. Yes. You didn't do it. Again, no question. My throat tightened. No. Darius studied me for several seconds. Then he nodded once. I believe you. The simple words hit harder than I expected. For hours I had begged my own pack to believe me. None of them had, yet the stranger did without hesitation. Why? I asked quietly. Because the forest told me. I blinked. The forest? He gestured around us. Blackwood listens. That was either the strangest thing I had ever heard, or the most terrifying. You're insane, I said. Possibly. His expression grew serious again. But that doesn't change what you are. I already told you. No, he interrupted. You told me what you think you are. He stepped closer again. The air around him hummed faintly. Lyra Vale, he said softly. Your wolf hasn't awakened yet. My stomach dropped. That's impossible. Every werewolf shifted for the first time between 16 and 18. I was 22. My wolf had always been faint, weak. The healer said my wolf spirit had likely been damaged during childhood illness. I had accepted it years ago. Your wolf didn't fail to awaken, Darius said. It's sleeping. I stared at him. That makes no sense. Not to Ironfang wolves. His glowing eyes darkened slightly. But you were never meant to belong to Ironfang. A cold shiver crawled down my spine. What does that mean? Instead of answering, Darius stepped forward and placed 2 fingers lightly against my wrist. Power surged through my veins. My breath caught, deep inside my chest. Something moved. A low vibration spread through my body, like a heartbeat awakening after years of silence. My wolf. I gasped. What are you doing? Listening. His eyes closed briefly. Then they snapped open. And for the first time since meeting him, Darius looked shocked. Well, he murmured. That complicates things. What does? He stared at me for several long seconds. Then he said quietly, You're not just a wolf. The forest wind whispered through the branches above us. My pulse pounded in my ears. Then what am I? Darius hesitated. That alone scared me more than anything he had said so far. Because a man like him didn't seem like the type to hesitate. Finally he spoke. You're the heir. The word landed like a stone. Heir to what? His glowing gaze drifted across the dark forest. To Blackwood. I laughed, a sharp disbelieving sound. That's ridiculous. Is it? This forest isn't a kingdom. You'd be surprised. Darius turned and began walking deeper into the woods. Come with me. Why would I do that? He glanced over his shoulder. Because if you stay here, he said calmly, something worse than rogues will find you before sunrise. I swallowed. That's not very reassuring. No. He faced forward again, but it's honest. For a moment I stood there, debating. Following a mysterious stranger deeper into a cursed forest sounded like the worst possible decision. But going back wasn't an option. Ironfang territory would kill me on sight. And staying alone in Blackwood probably meant dying before morning. Great, I muttered. Fantastic life choices tonight. Darius continued walking without waiting. After a moment, I followed. The deeper we moved into the forest, the stranger the air became. Ancient, heavy, as if the forest itself was watching us. Eventually, the trees began to thin. A faint golden glow appeared ahead. My steps slowed. "What is that?" Darius didn't answer. A few seconds later, we stepped into a clearing, and I froze. Hidden within the heart of Blackwood stood an entire settlement. Stone structures, large wooden halls, training grounds, dozens of wolves moving between buildings. None of them looked like rogues. They looked organized, disciplined, powerful. Several of them stopped when they saw us. Their eyes widened. One man stepped forward. Alpha. My head snapped toward Darius. The man bowed his head respectfully. "You're back." Alpha. The word echoed in my mind. Darius ignored him. His glowing gaze remained fixed on me, and slowly, a smile spread across his scarred face. "Welcome to the Forgotten Wolves," he said. The world tilted slightly, because something deep inside my chest, my sleeping wolf, had just begun to wake up. The clearing buzzed with quiet activity. Wolves moved between stone buildings with the calm confidence of warriors who had survived countless battles. Some carried weapons, others trained in the open yard, their movements sharp and precise under the pale moonlight. None of them looked surprised to see Darius, but every single one of them looked surprised to see me. Their eyes followed us as we walked deeper into the settlement, curious, cautious, and something else. Respect. That didn't make sense. I was at Exile, a disgraced wolf cast out by her own alpha, yet the wolves here studied me as if I mattered, as if I was important. My chest tightened uncomfortably. "Why are they staring?" I whispered. Darius didn't slow his stride. "Because you're new. That can't be the only reason." He glanced at me briefly. "It isn't?" Before I could press him further, a tall woman stepped into our path. Her dark hair was braided tightly down her back, and the scars along her arms told the story of a warrior who had survived more fights than most. Her golden eyes flicked to me, then back to Darius. "You brought someone." Her tone wasn't hostile, but it was cautious. Darius nodded. "Yes." The woman folded her arms. "She's Ironfang." The words landed like a stone. My stomach twisted. Even here, I couldn't escape that name. Darius's voice remained calm. "She was Ironfang." The woman's gaze returned to me. Her eyes softened slightly as she took in my torn clothes, the fading silver burns around my wrists, and the exhaustion written across my face. "Banished?" she asked quietly. I nodded once. "Yes." A shadow crossed her expression. "Then you're welcome here." The simple kindness hit harder than I expected. My throat tightened. "Thank you." She stepped aside to let us pass. "My name's Mira," she said. "Lyra." She gave a small nod. "I know." Of course she did. Apparently everyone here knew who I was. That thought made my skin prickle. We continued walking through the settlement. The deeper we went, the more obvious it became that these wolves weren't ordinary rogues. Their movements were disciplined, organized. They trained together in silent coordination, shifting between human and wolf forms with effortless control. Even the air here felt different, heavier, charged with power. Finally, we reached a massive wooden hall built against the base of an ancient oak tree. The structure looked older than anything I had ever seen. Darius pushed open the doors and gestured for me to enter. Inside, a large fire burned in the center of the room. Maps covered the long wooden table nearby. Weapons lined the walls. This wasn't just a hall. It was a command center. Darius closed the doors behind us. For a moment, neither of us spoke. The fire crackled softly between us. Then he turned to face me. "You have questions." "That's an understatement." He gestured toward the table. "Sit." I remained standing. "No." His brow lifted slightly. "No." "I've spent the entire night being dragged around and told half-truths," I said. "So unless you plan on actually explaining what's going on, I'd rather stay standing." For a moment, he looked almost impressed. Then he nodded. "Fair enough." He leaned against the edge of the table. The Forgotten Wolves were once the strongest pack in the Northern Territories. I frowned. I've never heard of them. That's because the other packs erased us from their histories. My stomach tightened. Why? His glowing eyes hardened. Because they feared us. I folded my arms. That still doesn't explain why. Darius studied the fire for a moment before answering. 500 years ago, the werewolf world was very different. There were no borders, no alpha councils, no fragile alliances, only power. His gaze returned to me, and the Forgotten Wolves had more of it than anyone else. I felt a chill crawl down my spine. What kind of power? Instead of answering directly, he asked a question. "What do you know about the first wolves?" "Legends," I said cautiously. "Stories the elders tell pups. Stories about wolves, chosen directly by the moon goddess." He nodded. "Those stories are true." The fire popped loudly between us. My pulse quickened. "You're saying?" "Yes." His voice was quiet but certain. "The Forgotten Wolves descend from the original bloodline." Silence filled the hall. "That's impossible." "Is it?" "Every pack claims some ancient connection to the moon goddess." "Claims," he agreed. "But most of them are lies." He straightened slowly. The first wolves weren't just shapeshifters. They were something more. "What?" His glowing gaze locked onto mine. "Kings." The word hung heavy in the air. "Kings of what?" I asked quietly. "The wolf world." My mind struggled to process everything he was saying. "You expect me to believe that a hidden pack of ancient royal wolves has been living in this forest for centuries?" Darius didn't smile. "I expect you to listen." Something in his tone made me fall silent. For hundreds of years, the Forgotten Wolves ruled the Northern Territories, he continued. But power attracts enemies. Other packs feared losing control. So they united. They betrayed us. The pieces began to fall into place. They tried to wipe you out. Yes. His voice held no emotion. Most of our bloodline was slaughtered. The survivors fled into Blackwood and hid. My gaze drifted toward the doors. Until now. Darius followed my gaze. Yes. The firelight flickered across his scars. For centuries we remained hidden. Growing stronger. Waiting. For what? For the heir. My breath caught. The word echoed uncomfortably in my chest. "You keep saying that," I murmured. "Heir?" His eyes darkened slightly. "Because that's what you are." I shook my head immediately. "No." "Lyra?" "No." I stepped back. "That's insane. I'm not some lost princess from a royal bloodline. I'm just a wolf whose wolf never awakened," he finished quietly. The words stopped me cold. My chest rose and fell unevenly. "Yes," I whispered. "And that's exactly the problem." Darius stepped closer. "Your wolf didn't awaken because it wasn't ready." My voice shook. "Ready for what?" His answer came slowly. For the throne. The room fell silent again. I stared at him. You're serious? Completely. My thoughts raced wildly. This is impossible. Your bloodline traces back to the last queen of the Forgotten Wolves, he said. She disappeared during the massacre. No one ever found her body. My stomach twisted. You're saying she survived? Yes. And somehow her bloodline continued. His glowing eyes softened slightly. Until it reached you. I felt dizzy. This can't be real. Your wolf is proof. You said it yourself. It never fully awakened. Because royal wolves don't awaken like ordinary ones. How do they awaken? Darius held my gaze. With power. The fire crackled loudly. Outside, distant howls echoed through the forest. My heart pounded. And when does that happen? I asked. He didn't hesitate. When the heir claims their pack. The words settled deep in my chest. Heavy. Dangerous. And if I don't want this? For the first time since meeting him, Darius hesitated. That choice, he said quietly, may no longer belong to you. A cold wind rattled the hall doors. Something in my chest shifted again. My wolf, not weak, not broken, awakening. And far away, beyond the forest, someone else felt it too. Alpha Kael. In the moment he felt that ancient power stir across the bond he once shattered, he realized the terrible truth. The woman he banished to die was becoming something far more dangerous than he could ever imagine. Something deep inside me pulsed, slow, heavy, like a second heartbeat, waking after years of silence. I pressed a hand to my chest. What is happening to me? Darius watched me carefully. It's starting. That's not an explanation. You're feeling your wolf awaken. But I said it was sleeping, he corrected calmly. And now it's waking up. The sensation spread through my veins like liquid fire. Not painful, but powerful. Unfamiliar. My breathing grew uneven. I don't like this. That's normal. I looked up sharply. Normal? For someone whose power has been suppressed their entire life. The words hit harder than expected. Suppressed. You're saying Ironfang did this to me? I'm saying you grew up in a pack that never understood what you were. His tone wasn't cruel, just factual. But wolves like you, royal blood, they don't awaken under ordinary circumstances. I swallowed. So what changed? Darius didn't answer immediately. Instead, he studied me with those eerie, glowing eyes. Then he said quietly, You were rejected. The words still felt like a knife twisting in my chest. The bond breaking forced your wolf to react. My throat tightened. So Kael rejecting me triggered your awakening. A bitter laugh escaped my lips. That's ironic. Darius raised an eyebrow. How so? Because he thought he was destroying me. The firelight danced across the walls as silence stretched between us. But something inside my chest continued to grow stronger. My wolf shifted restlessly beneath my skin. Not weak, not frightened, hungry. For the first time in my life, I could feel her clearly. A presence, ancient, patient, watching. What does this mean? I asked quietly. It means everything is about to change. His answer wasn't reassuring. Before I could ask anything else, the doors behind us burst open. Mira rushed inside. Her breathing was uneven. Alpha. Darius turned immediately. What is it? Scouts just returned from the eastern border. Her gaze flicked toward me briefly, then back to him. They saw Ironfang patrols. My stomach dropped. Ironfang? Already? They're searching the forest, Mira continued. They've sent at least 3 hunting parties into Blackwood. Darius's expression darkened. That was fast. My chest tightened. They're not searching for me, I said quickly. No pack would waste resources chasing an exile. Mira and Darius exchanged a look. Something uneasy passed between them. What? I demanded. Darius spoke slowly. Normally you'd be right. But tonight, something changed. My pulse quickened. What changed? He studied me carefully. Then he said, "You're awakening." Cold dread washed over me. You think they felt it? I don't think, he replied. I know. The room seemed to shrink. But how? Royal blood carries power, Darius explained. When it awakens, other alphas can sense it. My heart skipped. Kael felt it. Yes. The mate bond was broken, but the connection between wolves ran deeper than most people realized. Power called to power, and Kael was one of the strongest alphas in the Northern Territories. Then he knows I'm alive. Yes. And he's looking for me. Darius nodded once. My stomach twisted. The last thing I wanted right now was to face Kael again. Not while my heart was still bleeding from his rejection. Not while I barely understood what I was becoming. Mira stepped forward. We should move her deeper into the forest. Darius shook his head. No. Both of us looked at him. No? They already know she's here. His glowing eyes settled on me again. Hiding won't solve this. My chest tightened. So what will? A slow smile spread across his scarred face. We prepare. For what? For the moment Ironfang finally realizes the truth. The words sent a chill down my spine. And what truth is that? Darius stepped closer. His voice dropped lower. That the woman they banished... The air around us seemed to thicken. My wolf stirred again. Is no longer the same wolf who left their territory. A distant howl echoed through the forest outside. Not a rogue, an Ironfang scout. Closer than I liked. Mira stiffened. They're already inside Blackwood. Darius nodded calmly. Good. I stared at him. Good? His eyes gleamed with something dangerous. Yes, because if Kael sent hunters into my forest, his voice carried the quiet promise of violence. Then they've just walked into territory that hasn't belonged to Ironfang for 500 years. My pulse raced. What are you going to do? Darius didn't hesitate. Remind them. He turned toward the door, then paused. Come with me. Where? His glowing gaze met mine. To see what kind of alpha you're going to become. The word alpha still felt strange. Unreal. But something inside my chest pulsed in response. Power, calling to something older than fear. I hesitated only a moment before following him. Outside, the settlement had changed. The wolves of Blackwood were gathering, warriors shifting into massive wolf forms, others strapping weapons across their backs. The air vibrated with tension. They were preparing for battle. And somehow, without anyone saying it out loud, I realized something terrifying. They weren't just preparing to defend the forest. They were preparing to defend me. Mira fell into step beside us. The Ironfang scouts won't expect resistance, she said. They believe Blackwood is rogue territory. Darius's smile was cold. Then tonight will be educational. We reached the edge of the settlement. The forest stretched endlessly beyond the trees. Dark, ancient, alive. Darius stepped forward and shifted. Bones cracked. Muscles expanded. Within seconds, the enormous black wolf stood where the man had been, even larger than before, even more terrifying. The warriors around us lowered their heads in respect. Their alpha had arrived. Mira glanced at me. You should stay here. I shook my head immediately. No. You're not ready for a fight. I've been fighting my whole life. She studied me for a moment, then sighed. Stay close. Darius turned his massive head toward me. Those glowing blue eyes studied me again. Then something unexpected happened. He lowered himself slightly. An invitation. My breath caught. You want me to? Mira smiled faintly. Looks like the Alpha just offered you a ride. The wolves around us waited silently, watching, testing. My heart pounded, slowly, carefully. I climbed onto the massive wolf's back. His fur was warm, powerful, alive with energy. The moment I settled in place, Darius launched forward. The forest blurred around us as he ran. Faster than anything I had ever experienced. Wind whipped through my hair. Branches snapped past in seconds. And somewhere ahead, Ironfang wolves were about to learn a very important lesson. Blackwood Forest was no longer defenseless. And the wolf they had banished was no longer weak. The forest rushed past in a blur of shadows and moonlight. Darius moved like a storm through the trees, silent, impossibly fast. Every powerful stride sent vibrations through his massive body beneath me. His muscles flexed under my hands as he ran, weaving between ancient trunks, like the forest itself was guiding him. Behind us, the wolves of Blackwood followed, dozens of them. Their paws barely made a sound against the forest floor. Warriors, hunters, protectors. For centuries, they had remained hidden in these woods. Tonight, they were finally moving. My heart pounded against my ribs. Somewhere ahead, Ironfang scouts were pushing deeper into Blackwood. They believed they were hunting a banished wolf. They had no idea what they had actually stepped into. A sharp howl echoed through the trees. Darius slowed slightly, then stopped. The wolves behind us halted instantly. Perfect discipline. I slid down from his back as he shifted smoothly back into human form. The transformation happened faster this time, more controlled, like breathing. His glowing blue eyes scanned the forest. They're close. Mira stepped forward beside him. How many? 4, she frowned. Only 4 scouts. That's what they want us to think. My stomach tightened. Meaning? Darius crouched and brushed his fingers across the soil. The faint impressions of paw prints marked the ground. 2 groups, he said quietly. 4 scouts ahead. 6 more circling behind. My pulse spiked. They're setting a trap. Yes. He stood. They expected rogues. A cold smile crossed his face. They didn't expect us. A faint rustling sound came from deeper in the forest. Branches shifting. Soft footsteps. The Ironfang scouts were close now. I held my breath. Even from here, I could smell them. Their scent hit me suddenly. Sharp. Familiar. My chest tightened painfully. Ironfang. Memories flooded back without warning. Training in the pack yard, laughing with friends under the full moon, standing beside Kael during ceremonies as the future Luna. All of it felt like a lifetime ago. The rustling grew louder. Then 4 wolves emerged from the shadows, massive gray shapes with Ironfang markings along their shoulders. They froze when they saw us. Shock flashed across their eyes. One of them shifted instantly, bones cracking as his wolf form collapsed inward. A young warrior stood before us. His gaze landed on me, and his eyes widened. Lyra? The sound of my name felt strange coming from an Ironfang voice. Recognition hit me a second later. Jonas. He had trained 2 years below me in the warrior ranks. A decent fighter. Quiet. Loyal to the pack. But right now, his loyalty made him dangerous. You're alive, he breathed. The other scouts shifted too. Their attention snapped between me and the wolves surrounding us. Fear crept into their expressions. They hadn't expected this. Jonas looked confused. What are you doing here? I didn't answer. Darius stepped forward instead. The air shifted immediately. Even without shifting, his presence carried unmistakable alpha authority. The Ironfang wolves felt it instantly. Their wolves reacted first, lowering their heads slightly, submitting to a stronger alpha. Jonas stiffened as he realized what his wolf was doing. His eyes darted to Darius. Who are you? Darius didn't bother introducing himself. You crossed into Blackwood territory, he said calmly. Jonas frowned. This forest belongs to no pack. A quiet ripple of amusement passed through the forgotten wolves behind us. Darius tilted his head slightly. That's where you're wrong. The Ironfang scouts exchanged uneasy glances. Jonas squared his shoulders. We're here on Alpha Kael's orders. The name still hurt, but I forced my expression to remain neutral. Jonas continued. We're searching for a traitor. His gaze shifted to me again. You. The word landed heavily in the clearing. One of the scouts growled softly. You should come with us, Lyra. My stomach twisted. Back to Ironfang? Yes. Why? Jonas hesitated. Because Alpha Kael wants answers. A bitter laugh escaped before I could stop it. 5 hours ago, he sentenced me to death. Jonas looked uncomfortable. That was before... Before what? He hesitated again. Before he felt it. My chest tightened. So he did feel it. Jonas nodded slowly. The entire Alpha Council did. Darius's glowing eyes flickered. Interesting. Jonas looked at me carefully. Something changed tonight. The moment you crossed into Blackwood, a surge of power spread across the territory. The scouts shifted uneasily. We've never felt anything like it. My wolf stirred again beneath my skin. Stronger now. More awake. Jonas continued quietly. Alpha Kael believes it came from you. Silence fell. The wolves of Blackwood remained still, watching, waiting. Jonas looked at them nervously. Lyra, who are these wolves? Before I could answer, Darius spoke. They're my pack. Jonas stiffened. And you are? Darius stepped closer. The moonlight caught his glowing eyes. Recognition flashed across Jonas's face. Fear followed immediately. No, he whispered. It can't be. Darius's voice was calm. Leave, Jonas swallowed. We can't. Then you're trespassing. Jonas's gaze darted between the warriors surrounding him. You're not rogues. No. Then who are you? Darius's lips curved slightly. The wolves your ancestors tried to erase. Jonas's face drained of color. The forgotten wolves? A ripple of quiet growls spread through the warriors behind us. Jonas took an involuntary step back. You're supposed to be extinct. Darius's voice was soft. Clearly not. Tension crackled through the air. The Ironfang scouts were trapped, surrounded by wolves, stronger than anything they had expected to find. Jonas looked at me again. Lyra. There was desperation in his voice now. If you don't come back with us, Kael will send warriors. Darius's expression didn't change. Let him. Jonas shook his head. You don't understand. Oh, I understand perfectly. Jonas's voice dropped. He won't stop until he finds her. Darius's glowing eyes sharpened slightly. Her? Jonas realized his mistake too late. Darius stepped closer. Explain. Jonas hesitated. Fear battled with loyalty across his face. Finally, he spoke. The Alpha Council believes Lyra may be connected to an ancient bloodline. My pulse quickened. Jonas swallowed. They think she could be the heir. The forest went completely silent. Every wolf in Blackwood turned their attention to me. Even the wind seemed to pause. Jonas looked between us nervously. They're sending more hunters, His voice dropped to a whisper. And this time, Kael is coming himself. My heart skipped. Kael. Coming to Blackwood. The man who had rejected me. The man who had cast me out to die. And now, he was coming to find me. Darius's lips curved into a slow, dangerous smile. Good. Jonas stared at him. Good? Darius's glowing eyes flicked toward me, because it's time Ironfang finally meets their true alpha. My breath caught. Behind us, the wolves of Blackwood straightened. Pride radiated through them. They weren't afraid of Ironfang. They were ready for them, and somewhere far beyond the forest. Alpha Kael was already riding toward Blackwood, unaware that the woman he had once rejected was about to become the most powerful wolf he had ever faced. The forest fell into a tense silence after Jonas's warning. Even the wind seemed to hesitate between the ancient trees. Ironfang was coming. And not just scouts. Alpha Kael himself. The name alone sent a painful ripple through my chest. Not the mate bond. That was gone. But memories lingered like scars. Darius turned slowly toward the Ironfang scouts. "You've delivered your message," he said calmly. Jonas swallowed. "Yes. Good." Darius stepped closer. "Now you're going to leave Blackwood." Relief flashed across the scouts' faces, but it faded when Darius continued. "And you're going to tell your alpha exactly what you saw tonight." Jonas frowned. "What do you mean?" Darius's glowing eyes hardened. "You're going to tell him Blackwood is no longer rogue territory." Jonas stiffened. "You're declaring yourselves?" "Yes." The word fell like a stone. A murmur spread among the forgotten wolves behind us. Not surprise, anticipation. Jonas shook his head slowly. "That's impossible." "Is it?" "The Alpha Council will never allow it." Darius's smile held no humor. "The Alpha Council lost the right to decide Blackwood's fate 500 years ago." The air around him pulsed faintly with power. Even the Ironfang scouts felt it. Their wolves shifted uneasily beneath their skin. Jonas glanced at me again. "Lyra, you can still come back with us." I looked at him quietly. "Back to what?" His jaw tightened. "You're still Ironfang?" "No," I said softly. "I'm not." The words surprised even me, but once spoken, they felt true. Jonas looked conflicted. "You grew up in our pack, and they cast me out." That was a misunderstanding. The bitterness returned instantly. A misunderstanding that nearly got me killed. Jonas didn't respond, because we both knew the truth. Ironfang had made their decision, and I had paid the price. Darius stepped forward again. "You should go." Jonas hesitated, then he nodded slowly. "This isn't over." "No," Darius agreed. "It's just beginning." The Ironfang scouts shifted into wolf form and disappeared into the trees. Their retreating howls faded quickly into the distance. For several moments, no one spoke. The forest remained still. Then Mira exhaled quietly. "Well." That escalated quickly. Darius didn't smile. "They'll be back before sunrise." My stomach tightened. "With warriors?" "Yes, and Kael." The name still hurt, but not the way it had before. Something else had taken its place. Something colder. Stronger. Darius turned to the warriors behind us. "Prepare the defenses." They moved immediately. No hesitation, no questions. Within seconds, the forest filled with quiet activity. Scouts running along hidden trails. Warriors spreading through the trees. The forgotten wolves moved with practiced precision. They had done this before. Many times. I watched them silently. "You expected this," I said. Darius glanced at me. "Yes." "Why?" "Because power like yours doesn't stay hidden forever." My wolf stirred again. Stronger this time. Curious. Hungry. What happens when Kael arrives? Darius studied me carefully. That depends on you. Me? You're the heir. That doesn't mean I want a war. His expression softened slightly. You misunderstand. This isn't about revenge. Then what is it about? Balance. The word echoed quietly between us. For centuries, the Alpha Council has controlled the northern territories, he continued. They decide which packs rise, which ones fall, and anyone who threatens that control, they eliminate. A chill ran through me. Like they tried to do with the Forgotten Wolves? Yes. And now they're afraid the same bloodline has returned. My pulse quickened. So they'll try to eliminate me too. Darius nodded. Eventually. Great. That's why you need to awaken your wolf fully. I hesitated. How? Darius looked towards the ancient forest around us. Blackwood will help. That sounds very mystical. It is. Before I could question that further, Mira returned. They're gone. For now, Darius replied. But Ironfang will move fast. Mira nodded. Our outer scouts are already repositioning. Her gaze shifted to me. How is she handling the awakening? Better than expected. Mira studied me thoughtfully. You're feeling it now, aren't you? I hesitated, then nodded. It's like something inside me is stretching. Waking up. That's exactly what's happening. My chest tightened again as another pulse of energy spread through my veins. Stronger, hotter. My wolf's presence grew clearer. For the first time in my life, I could feel her thoughts, faint, but there, curious, watching the forest around us. This is strange, I admitted. Mira smiled faintly. Welcome to your real wolf. Darius turned toward the settlement. Come. Where? To the heart of Blackwood. My stomach twisted slightly. That sounds important. It is. We walked deeper into the forest again, but this time the path felt different, almost alive. The trees grew larger, older. Their roots twisted through the earth like ancient veins. The air hummed with quiet power. After several minutes, we reached a massive clearing. At its center stood a tree unlike any I had ever seen. Enormous. Its trunk was wider than a house. Silver light shimmered faintly across its bark. My wolf stirred instantly. Recognition. Wow, I whispered. Darius stepped beside me. The heart tree. I stared up at its towering branches. What is it? The source of Blackwood's power. My chest pulsed again. The tree seemed to respond. Its silver glow brightened slightly. You feel it, Mira said. Yes. That means it recognizes you. My stomach flipped. Recognizes me as what? Darius met my gaze. As its queen. The word sent a shock through me. I'm not a queen. Not yet. My wolf stirred again, stronger, restless. The tree's glow intensified. A low vibration spread through the ground beneath our feet. And suddenly, my knees buckled. A sharp cry escaped my throat as power surged through my body. Hot, blinding, wild. My wolf roared inside my mind. Not weak, not broken. Ancient, royal. Darius caught me before I collapsed. It's happening, Mira said quietly. My vision blurred. What's happening? Darius's voice came through the chaos. You're awakening. The forest seemed to pulse around us. The heart tree glowed brighter with every second. My wolf pushed forward, stronger, larger, more powerful than anything I had ever imagined, and somewhere far beyond Blackwood. Alpha Kael staggered suddenly. A wave of power slammed into his senses. His wolf howled in shock, because for the first time, he finally understood the truth. The woman he had rejected was becoming something far greater than a Luna. She was becoming a queen. The power didn't fade. It grew, Hot currents of energy surged through my veins, spreading from my chest to every nerve in my body. My vision blurred as the silver light from the heart tree intensified around us. The ground trembled softly beneath my feet. My wolf roared inside my mind, not weak, not broken, awake. I gasped as another surge hit me. It felt like fire racing beneath my skin. "Easy," Darius said, his hands steady on my shoulders. "Don't fight it." "I'm not fighting it," I choked. "It's fighting me." Mira stepped closer, her voice calm despite the glowing light surrounding us. "Your wolf has been asleep for 22 years. She's stretching her claws." That was one way to describe it. Inside my mind, something massive moved. A presence far larger than the faint wolf spirit I had always felt before. This wolf was different. Older, ancient, powerful. Her voice brushed against my thoughts like thunder rolling across the distant mountains. Mine. The word echoed through my mind. A shiver ran down my spine. "Yes," Darius murmured softly. "She recognizes you." The silver light from the heart tree suddenly flared. A wave of energy shot through the clearing. My knees hit the ground. Pain and power exploded through my body at the same time. Bones shifted slightly beneath my skin. Not a full shift. Something deeper. My wolf forcing her way closer to the surface. "Lyra," Mira said gently. "Listen to her." I squeezed my eyes shut. Inside my mind, the massive wolf stepped forward. Her fur shimmered silver and black beneath an endless moonlit sky. Her eyes were glowing gold, ancient, wise, terrifying. She lowered her head slightly, not in submission, in recognition. Queen. The word rang through my mind. My breath caught. "I'm not a queen," I whispered aloud. "Not yet." The wolf's voice was calm, but certain. Another surge of energy burst through my chest. This time it didn't hurt. It expanded. My senses sharpened instantly. I could hear wolves moving across the settlement nearly half a mile away. I could smell the damp moss beneath the heart tree. I could even feel the faint vibrations of Ironfang scouts retreating through the distant forest. My eyes snapped open. Everything looked sharper, clearer, different. Darius studied me carefully. "There it is." "What?" "Your wolf." Mira tilted her head slightly. "How strong is it?" I flexed my fingers slowly. Power hummed beneath my skin. "I don't know." Darius gave a faint smile. "Let's find out." Before I could ask what he meant, a distant howl split the night. Sharp, urgent, one of the Blackwood scouts. Mira's head snapped toward the forest. "They're here." Darius's glowing eyes hardened instantly. "How many?" "More than expected." Her voice dropped slightly. "And Kael is with them." My heart skipped. Kael. The name no longer felt like a knife in my chest, but it still stirred something complicated inside me. 5 years of memories didn't vanish overnight. Darius turned toward the forest. Positions. The command spread instantly through the clearing. Warriors began moving again, silent, deadly, prepared. Mira glanced at me. "Can you stand?" I slowly pushed myself to my feet. The dizziness from earlier was gone. In its place, strength. "Yes." Darius studied me for a moment, then nodded. "Good. Because the next part of your awakening won't happen peacefully." My pulse quickened. "What does that mean?" "It means the heir of Blackwood will face her first test tonight." My stomach tightened slightly. That sounds dramatic. It is. A second howl echoed from deeper in the forest. Closer this time, the Ironfang warriors were approaching. Darius shifted smoothly beside me. His massive black wolf form towered over the clearing. The forgotten wolves around us lowered their heads briefly. Respect, loyalty. Then they shifted as well. Within seconds, dozens of massive wolves filled the clearing, ready for war. Mira glanced at me one last time. You should stay near the heart tree. Why? Because the tree will protect you while your power stabilizes. I shook my head. No. She frowned. Lyra, I'm not hiding. The words came out stronger than I expected. For the first time since arriving in Blackwood, I felt something different. Confidence. My wolf stirred approvingly inside me. Darius's massive wolf turned his glowing gaze toward me. For a moment he simply studied me. Then he shifted back to human form. You're sure? Yes. This fight may change everything. I know. His scarred face softened slightly. Good. Because the wolves of Blackwood follow strength, not titles. He gestured toward the forest. Then come. My heart pounded as we moved toward the edge of the clearing. The forest beyond was alive with movement now. Ironfang warriors were spreading through the trees, at least 30 wolves, far more than the scouts. And at the center of them, a massive silver wolf stepped forward into the moonlight. Even from a distance, I recognized him instantly. Alpha Kael, my former mate. His golden eyes scanned the clearing. Then they landed on me. Shock rippled through his expression. For a moment, neither of us moved. 5 years of memories hung between us in the cold night air. His wolf stepped forward slowly. Disbelief radiated from him. Lyra. The sound of my name on his voice carried across the clearing. My chest tightened slightly, but I didn't move. Darius stepped forward beside me. His presence immediately shifted the atmosphere. Kael's gaze snapped toward him. Recognition flashed in his eyes. Impossible, Kael growled. Darius's voice was calm. You're trespassing. Kael's wolf bristled. This forest doesn't belong to you. It does now. The Ironfang warriors behind Kael shifted uneasily. They were realizing the same thing Jonas had earlier. These weren't rogues. These were organized wolves. Powerful ones. Kael's gaze returned to me. You're alive. Yes. You should have come back to Ironfang. A bitter smile touched my lips. You rejected me. His jaw tightened. That was before I knew the truth. And what truth is that? His eyes flicked toward the glowing heart tree behind us, then back to me. That you're not just a wolf. Silence fell across the clearing. Every warrior watched us. Kael stepped forward again. Come back with me, Lyra. The words hung in the air. For a moment, the past tried to pull at me again. The memories, the bond we once shared. But then my wolf stepped forward inside my mind. Strong. Certain. Queen. I lifted my chin slightly. I'm not yours anymore. The words echoed through the clearing. Kael's expression hardened. You're still my responsibility. No, I said quietly. I'm your mistake. Darius's low chuckle broke the tension. I like her. Kael's eyes flashed with anger. Stay out of this. Darius's glowing gaze sharpened. You entered my forest. Kael's wolf growled. This isn't over. No, Darius agreed. It's just beginning. The wind rustled the ancient trees above us. 30 Ironfang warriors faced the wolves of Blackwood. The air crackled with tension, and standing between them, I felt my wolf rise fully for the first time. Power surged through my veins. The air of Blackwood had awakened, and the war for the Northern Territories had finally begun. The forest held its breath. 2 packs faced each other beneath the pale silver light of the moon. Ironfang wolves and the forgotten wolves of Blackwood. 30 warriors stood behind Alpha Kael, scarred fighters with years of battle in their eyes. But the wolves behind me were something else entirely. Older, stronger, patient. They had survived centuries of hiding, and tonight, They were finally stepping into the open. Kael's golden gaze remained locked on me. Disbelief still lingered there, but something else had joined it now. Something heavier. Regret. "You shouldn't be here," he said. The words were meant for me. Not Darius, not the wolves around us, just me. I felt my wolf stir inside my chest, but this time it wasn't pain. It was awareness. The bond between us was gone. Completely severed. Kael wasn't my mate anymore. He was just another alpha standing on the wrong side of the forest. "I'm exactly where I should be," I replied. His jaw tightened slightly. "You don't understand what you've stepped into." Darius chuckled beside me. "Oh, I think she does." Kael's eyes flicked toward him. The tension between the two alphas was immediate, raw, powerful. "You're supposed to be dead," Kael growled. Darius shrugged lazily. "Lots of people have tried, and lots of them failed." The Ironfang warriors shifted uneasily. They could feel the power radiating from him. Even Kael's wolf was reacting, not submission, but recognition. Two dominant alphas sizing each other up. Kael stepped forward. "You're Darius." The name spread through the Ironfang ranks like wildfire. Shock flashed across several warriors' faces. They knew the name, even if the legends claimed he was long dead. Darius gave a small bow. "Inconveniently alive." Kael's gaze hardened. "The Alpha Council wiped your bloodline out centuries ago. You missed a few." Silence stretched across the clearing. Then Kael's attention returned to me. "And now you've taken her?" Darius's voice dropped slightly. "No, I didn't take her. She came here." Kael's eyes darkened. "She belongs to Ironfang." The words hit like a spark against dry leaves. My wolf bristled instantly. Before Darius could respond, I stepped forward. "No," I said quietly. Every wolf in the clearing looked at me. Even the wind seemed to pause. "I don't belong to Ironfang anymore." Kael's expression tightened. "You were born into my pack, and you rejected me in front of it." His voice dropped. "That was a mistake." The admission hung heavily in the air. Ironfang warriors exchanged uneasy glances. Alpha Kael didn't admit mistakes, ever. Yet here he was, standing in enemy territory, admitting he had been wrong. My chest tightened. 5 hours ago, those words might have shattered me, but now, they just felt distant. "You didn't just reject me," I said calmly. "You banished me. You sent me into Blackwood to die." Kael flinched slightly. "I didn't know." "Know what?" His gaze flicked toward the glowing heart tree behind us. "Who you really are." A quiet murmur spread through both packs. Darius folded his arms. "Go on," he said. "I'm curious what the Alpha Council thinks she is." Kael ignored him. His eyes stayed fixed on me. "The moment you crossed into this forest," he said slowly, "every alpha in the Northern Territories felt it. I already knew that, but hearing it aloud still sent a ripple through the clearing." "You carry ancient blood," Kael continued. "The kind the Council feared would return one day." Darius smirked. "They were right to worry." Kael's wolf growled softly. "This isn't your concern." "It became my concern the moment you stepped into my forest." The tension thickened again. 30 Ironfang wolves, 40 forgotten wolves, both sides ready to explode. Kael lifted his hand slightly. His warriors held position. They were waiting for his command. The same command that once would have been mine to help give. But that life was over. "Lyra," Kael said quietly, "come back with me." The words echoed through the clearing. "You can still return to Ironfang. We can fix what happened." I studied him carefully. for the first time that night. He looked tired, not weak, but burdened. 5 years of ruling Ironfang had carved deeper lines into his face. His wolves still radiated power, but now I could feel it clearly. And compared to the power rising inside my chest, Kael suddenly felt smaller. "You can't fix this," I said softly. "Yes, I can." "How?" Silence followed, because he didn't have an answer. "You broke the bond," I continued. "You broke my place in Ironfang. And you broke the trust I had in you." The truth settled between us like stone. Kael's shoulders stiffened. I was wrong. "And now you want to undo it?" "Yes." My wolf stirred, ancient, certain. "Queen." I straightened slowly. "No." The word carried farther than I expected. It wasn't loud, but it carried weight. Even the Ironfang warriors reacted, because something in my voice had changed. Kael felt it too. His eyes narrowed slightly. "Lyra, you rejected the woman I was." The silver glow from the heart tree intensified behind me. My wolf pushed closer to the surface, stronger, bolder. "So you don't get to claim the woman I'm becoming." The air pulsed. A ripple of energy spread outward through the clearing. Leaves trembled in the trees above us. The wolves of Blackwood straightened instantly, their wolves reacting instinctively. Submission. Respect. Darius's grin widened. "Well," he murmured, "that escalated nicely." Kael stared at me, shock spreading across his face. "You're commanding them." I hadn't even realized I was doing it, but he was right. The forgotten wolves were responding to me. Not Darius. Me. Darius chuckled quietly. "Told you." Kael's voice hardened. "You don't understand what you're becoming." "Actually," Darius replied casually, "I think she's starting to." The ground trembled faintly again. The heart tree's silver glow spilled across the clearing like moonlight. My wolf stepped forward inside my mind. Massive, royal, queen. And suddenly I understood something terrifying. This wasn't just awakening. This was claiming. Blackwood, the forest, the wolves, they were responding to me. Kael saw it too. His voice dropped to a whisper. "You're really the heir." Darius crossed his arms. "Took you long enough." Kael's golden eyes burned with something complicated. Fear, awe, and something else. Something almost like admiration. "You should have been my Luna." I held his gaze calmly. I was. Silence followed. Then Darius stepped forward. "All right," he said lightly. "This emotional reunion has been fun, but you're still trespassing." The wolves behind him growled softly. A warning. Kael's warriors tensed instantly. Both sides were seconds away from bloodshed. Kael raised his hand again. His wolves froze. He looked at me one last time. "This isn't over." "No," I agreed. "It's not." His gaze flicked toward Darius. "You've declared Blackwood." Darius nodded. "Very publicly." Kael exhaled slowly. "The Alpha Council will respond." "Good." "They won't come with scouts next time." "Even better." Kael studied me again. "Take care of yourself, Lyra." Then he shifted. His massive silver wolf form emerged under the moonlight. Without another word, he turned and disappeared into the forest. The Ironfang warriors followed. Within seconds, they were gone. The forest fell quiet again. The wolves of Blackwood slowly relaxed, but no one celebrated, because everyone understood what had just happened. Darius glanced at me. "Well, that could have gone worse." Mira stepped forward. "He's going to bring the council." "Yes, which means war." Darius looked toward the glowing heart tree, then back to me. "Probably." My wolf stirred calmly inside my mind, not afraid. "Ready." I looked out across the ancient forest of Blackwood. Ironfang had rejected me, but Blackwood had chosen me. And if the Alpha Council wanted to erase this bloodline again, they were about to learn something very important. This time, the heir was ready.